Hey, what's up guys, how you all doing? I'm Paul the Tech Giant and welcome back to the channel, where tonight I'm going to be unboxing and testing out this 65-inch Samsung S95F OLED. Now I've really been looking forward to get my hands on this Samsung OLED because it is a direct competitor to my current LG G5 OLED, and I will be doing a comparison video between the Samsung and LG very soon, and if you want to see that video then make sure you subscribe to the channel. Now the Samsung and the LG were both sent over to me by the UK electrical retailer Peter Tyson. So if you are looking for a new TV, be it the Samsung or the LG, then please consider making that TV purchase from them. Now, if we were to take the Samsung, for instance, if you were to buy it from Peter Tyson, you're going to get yourself a free 5-year warranty, free delivery, and they have finance options available. Plus, when it comes to pricing, they aim to price match all their major competitors. And to back all that up, they have great customer service. So plenty of great reasons why you should consider making your next TV purchase from Peter Tyson. And I'll be putting a link to them in the description, along with a link for the S95F OLED. Okie dokie, let's crack on then. And first off, we're going to take a look around the outside of the box. And there's not a lot going on really. So what does it say? So first off, obviously it is a Samsung and OLED S95F and 65 inches. Spinning the box around and we come to our energy rating stickers, and both come in at an F. Okie dokie, now's come to the time to get this box open. So, scissors at the ready, cut the bands. And there we go, we get a sort of first look at the S95F OLED. Okie dokie, now that we've got the TV out of the box, let's take a look around the back of it. So going in a bit closer, and it does have this ribbed effect going on. Looks quite nice though. Moving to the middle, and we have our 4 wall mounting bracket holes. Now I've gone ahead and measured these, and from left to right it is 40 centimeters, and from top to bottom it is 30 centimeters. Now in between those 4 wall mounting bracket holes we have this connection, and this connection is for our One Connect box cable. Now if you don't know what this is, it means we get a cable like this, which we plug one end into the back of the TV and the other end into an external box which houses all our inputs and outputs. So we get this one long one if you want to put the box further away, or we get this shorter one. So if you want to put the TV on its pedestal stand, you use this shorter one. Now the beauty of this one single cable will supply power, audio and video, meaning you don't have to have a load of messy cables running from the back of your TV. Now moving down from that connection, and we get to where we mount our pedestal stand, and flanking that either side we have a massive array of speakers. Check them out, look really smart, 8 in total, and hopefully it should sound very good indeed. Now moving down to the bottom left hand corner, and we do actually have a button just there. Now this is to control various menus on the TV if you happen to lose your remote control or just want to use the TV without the remote. Okie dokie, let's now take a look at all the supplied accessories. I'm first starting off with the parts that make up the pedestal stand, and to be fair, they are proper solid. Now we do have quite a few bits to this, reason being that the One Connect box actually sits on the stand, and this part again is proper solid, so that is good to know that it isn't cheap rubbish. And then we have this part just here, and I did think that there were screws missing, but no, they are actually sellotape to the back of this piece. So just bear that in mind. Next up, we have a quick start guide telling us all the little bits that we get and how to put together the TV onto the stand and how to remove it out of the box. Then we have our regular bits of paperwork that you're never going to read, so let's file those over there. Next up, and we have some screws and a couple of cable tidies. Next we come to the remote controls, and yes, I did say controls because we get two. So first off, we get this very basic version. Lots of buttons on there, got some shortcuts for Netflix, Prime Video, Samsung TV Plus and YouTube, which is an all plastic affair and requires a couple of AAA batteries, which are supplied, but I don't know where I've put them. And then we come to the second remote control, and this is a dinky little thing. Now comparing it to that other remote, which is a small remote anyway, you can see just how small it is. Now this is more of a minimalistic remote control, but again we do have some shortcuts on there for Netflix, Samsung TV Plus, YouTube and Prime Video, so the same ones again. Enter button in the middle there, directional buttons, microphone up top, power button, and if we flip this over, great thing about this is it is solar powered, so yeah, no batteries required. And if I just pull that tab out, what is also good is that we can charge it via USB-C. So fair play, that is great. Now we come to what's probably the most important part out of all the supplied accessories, and that is the One Connect box. So let's take a look at it. So there we go. It's black on top and that has like a sort of purple effect going on around the sides just there. Not sure if I like that myself. And if we flip it over, we can see that purple theme carrying on just there. And we have holes just there where we will mount this to our pedestal stand. And then we come to our connections. So first up, we have where we'll plug in our power cable, and that power cable is just here. So I'm in the UK, so we do get our 3-pin plug on there, and a quick measurement of the cable, and it comes in at just over 155 centimeters. Now looking around at the back of the box, and we come to all our inputs and outputs. So we have a connection there for our LAN cable, optical digital, satellite and aerial, a common interface, and 2 USBs. And then we come to our 4 HDMIs, and number 3 is marked up as eARC. And I'm pleased to say that all 4 are HDMI 2.1 and are good for 4K and up to 165 Hz. Just across from them, and we come to another USB, and finally the connection for the One Connect cable. And then finally we come to this piece of trim, and oh look, I've just found those AAA batteries that went missing, and this is simply a cable cover for the One Connect box. Right, so I've just gone ahead and connected up the TV to the One Connect box using the longer One Connect cable, and that's now going to be supplying all the power to the TV along with the audio and video. And then I've connected up the One Connect box to the mains power supply with the power cable. So we do have a red LED indicator telling us that we do have power going to the TV, so all that's left to do is turn on the TV for the very first time. Right, so now we are presented with the setup page, and there's 2 ways that we can go about setting up the TV. First off, we can scan the QR code with our phone and set it up that way, or we can use the remote control. So I'm going to set up the TV using the remote, and I'll see you once I'm done. So that's the setup process all complete now then. Nice and straightforward, but I did actually have to sign into a Samsung account to get the most out of this TV, whilst other manufacturers will allow you to use features of the TV without actually signing up or signing into an account. Now before we get into all the juicy stuff, what I want to do is take a look around the design of this TV. So let's go in a little bit closer and check out the side, and look how thin that is. That, I think, is even thinner than my G5 OLED. Very nice indeed. We've got a very dark brushed effect going on there. does look very smart, and that thinness, as you can see, goes from top to bottom. There's no bulging out or anything like that, and that is one of the advantages of the One Connect cable. You've got nothing at the back there to connect things into, so they can keep it nice and slim. Moving around to the front, and we've got very thin bezels indeed, but if we do go down to the bottom, they do get somewhat thicker, which is a little bit of a shame that it couldn't have been kept the same all the way around. Moving over to the right hand side, and we do have a Samsung logo just there. Oh, and I've left the protective cover on that. Let's peel that off. There we go. And yeah, we've got this little notch that houses that button that I showed you earlier. Don't like the fact that it's set off to the right. Would prefer it to be sat in the middle. But overall, that is a beautiful design. Okie dokie, let's now take a look around some of the menus. And first starting off with the home menu. Now at the top of the screen, we've got some advertisement going on here. So we've got For You, Live, and apps, because of course you can download more apps if the pre-installed ones aren't to your liking. Now just down from that we've got Now Playing and What's on Samsung TV Plus, and below that we come to our pre-installed apps. So I'm in the UK and the apps will be dependent on where you are in the world, but for me we get SmartThings, Samsung TV Plus, Netflix, Prime Video, BBC iPlayer, ITVX, Disney Plus, Apple TV, Now, Raccoon TV, Stream Free, YouTube, 4, Bixby, Internet, and 5. So that's great to see that we get all the main UK catch-up TV services. And at the end there, we can also edit the list. Now below those apps, we get loads of recommendations. So we've got things there for the BBC iPlayer, top picks at ITVX, Disney Plus, so on and so forth. Little bit too much of it if you ask me. Moving over to the left hand side, and we have our search function and ambient. Now ambient mode lets you display just images and artwork to make your TV look more appealing when you're not actually watching anything. Now moving down from ambient, and we come to Daily Plus, and in here we got a variety of different things, including food and fitness sort of things. And backing out of that, and then we come to Game. So this is Samsung Gaming Hub, and as it says just there, play your favourite games, no console required, which could be really handy. Coming back out of that again, and then we have the home menu, which we've already seen. We then have connected devices, and then our settings. Now these are basically our quick settings. So we've got things like sound mode, we've got brightness, sound output, picture mode, AI mode, and if we scroll over, we come to another load of settings and scroll over again, there's even more, and again there's even more. So loads there to choose from without having to go deep into the main settings. Now at the start of the list, we do have our all settings, so let's jump into those. So in here it's broken down into picture, sound, connections, advanced features, general and privacy, and support. Okie dokie, now has come the time to test out the picture on this TV. And I gotta say, I am not a happy chappy. Why am I not happy? Well, I'm now questioning, did I make the right decision in going for the LG G5? The image on this Samsung OLED is just breathtaking. When I turned it on, I honestly thought it was gonna be, well, good, but just not a patch on the G5. But now I've actually fired it up, and what I'm seeing, well, I think it is gonna be very, very close indeed. Honestly, the picture is just breathtaking. Now, like I said, I will be comparing the G5 against this S95F OLED, and I think it's going to be a great comparison because both of the TVs are just next level this year, where other years the TVs jumps from one year to another have been very small, but this year I am seeing very good improvements with both models. Just check it out, look at that. Lovely black levels there, but there is a little bit of an issue when it comes to the black levels, which I will raise in a minute. But overall, yeah, it is looking good. Moving on to another piece of footage now then, and this is my own 4K HDR material. And once again, my God, is that image amazing. I can't believe how good it is. Like I said, wasn't expecting it to be this good, which is a good thing, that it's actually going above my expectations. Now just check out this image. The colours on it are just, oh, to die for. So vibrant. Honestly, I can't wait to test this out against my G5. It's really going to be good. Now, I did mention earlier that there is a bit of an issue with this TV, and it is to do with the black levels. Now, don't get me wrong. In the right environment, looking straight on, it does look very good indeed. Like, check that out. That is mint. But when you come round to the side, they do tend to wash out somewhat. It goes a little bit more misty looking. Now, why is that? Well, if I just turn off the TV, it is because this is a matte display. Now, this is great if you have a room that is full of daylight coming in, as I have here. We've got a lot of natural daylight coming in through those big windows, and it's doing a marvellous job of actually stopping any reflections on the screen. It's more diffusing it, but it does come at a slight cost of deep black levels. But like I say, when you move around more like this, and obviously the screen is off, you can see that it is nice and inky black, but maybe not quite as black as what you get on a glossy screen like the G5. But again, that is something that I'll test in my upcoming video. Now, just getting back to it, and at the moment we are in the standard picture mode, and that just looks great out of the box. But let's change it up, put it into dynamic, and oh my God, that has gone bright now. Colours are even more punchy than they were before, if that is even possible, and it is. Let's check out some of the other modes. So you've got Eco there. Who wants Eco on? No one, I don't think. Then you've got movie mode. Not a fan of that myself. And then filmmaker mode. A lot of people have been asking me to try out filmmaker mode. Again, I will do that in my comparison with the G5. But for me, I'm not a fan of filmmaker mode. Looks a bit too stuttery, jerky, whatever you want to call it. And I just don't like the image. But it's each to their own at the end of the day, and I know that is the most accurate setting at the box. But put it back to standard for now, and oh, yeah, this is just breathtaking. Honest to God, I am having second thoughts about the G5 now. Yeah, it's just stunning. Absolutely breathtaking. Check it out. Like, the brightness from those lights there is just immense. This TV is a real winner. If you have got a very bright room, you've got that anti-reflective screen there, the immense brightness, it's what you're going to want in an OLED TV. And it wasn't that long ago where OLEDs weren't that bright, but those days are thankfully long gone, and now we can get immense brightness with those deep black levels that we know and love from OLED TVs. Again, just checking out the colours there. Really nice. What a TV. On to the final test now then, and we are going to be testing out the sound. And with 8 speakers around the back, I'm expecting good things. So let's turn it up and see what it sounds like. Not sounding bad at all there. Nah, little bit lacking in the bass. I was expecting more of a punch to come through there, but the mids and trebles are quite nice. Yeah, it's got a bit of punch to it, but not as much as I was expecting. So overall with the sound, not bad when you consider how thin the TV is. But as I always say, with TVs like this, really you need a soundbar or dedicated amp and speakers to really match the sound with the image. So there you go then guys. Now I'd love to hear your thoughts on a couple of things in the comment section. First off, the One Connect box. Do you think that's a good idea, or would you rather have a more traditional setup? And next is the matte screen. Now this is a little bit controversial. Some people love it, some people hate it. And other people, like myself, would like to have seen having the option of either having a glossy screen or a matte screen. I think Samsung would shift far more units if they were to offer both options, but sadly we don't get that. So would you rather have a glossy screen with overall more consistent black levels, or would you rather have the matte screen where you haven't got to worry about reflections, but at the cost of slightly raised black levels in certain situations? So that about wraps up today's video, and if you have enjoyed it, do us a favour and give me a thumbs up for my efforts, and if you'd like to see that that comparison between the G5 and S95F OLED, then make sure you subscribe to the channel for that and future videos like this. So thanks very much for joining me today, and hopefully I'll be catching you guys on the next one. Bye for now.